The USAID scandal that has sort of rocked Washington, D.C. as we have seen Elon Musk and their team start to really crack down on where your U.S. taxpayer dollars have been going and government funding has been going. So, Will, this was sort of breaking news over the last few days, and Donald Trump made a statement saying that Democrats cannot hide from this situation because it's certainly the government funding did not seem to be politically neutral.
That's right. He posted on Truth this morning, looks like billions of dollars have been stolen at USAID and other agencies, much of it going to the fake news media as a payoff for creating good stories about the Democrats. The left-wing rag known as Politico seems to have received $8 million. Did the New York Times receive money? Who else did? This could be the biggest scandal of them all, perhaps the biggest in history. And what we're talking about here is now the work of the Department of Government Efficiency, which is going into agencies, seeing where taxpayer money is being misused. Right. A lot of this is discretionary spending. It's not authorized by statute. It's just the work of an agency like the USAID. Now, when you start going through these, some of these may sound like small numbers to the government, not to us. But when you add them all up, it's absurd. And this is, as many people say, just the tip of the iceberg because they're just digging through it. But there was $1 million grant just in the 2023 fiscal year to make disabled Tajikistanis climate leaders. Yes. So that was the specific purpose of that.
Yeah, so that says in 2023, Biden's USAID allocated up to $1 million in taxpayer funds, again, this is your money, on a project to help disabled people in Tajikistan become climate leaders. I don't you got to figure out how that program even exists.
Right.
Like, that's like 4 levels deep here. Okay, so that's one of them that you're going to.
And some brilliant grant writing right there. Someone wanting we could really get some money from the government because it doesn't seem like they deny anything.
Checks a lot of boxes. Well, that is one of the things Elon said, is it felt like when going through it that things were not denied unless, of course, it didn't fit their political agenda.
There's $1 million for foreign DEI programs, including indigenous language technology in Guatemala. We have $1 million to a Hamas-linked charity. A $1.5 million effort to empower female climate activists in northern Kenya. $15 million for contraceptives in Taliban-controlled Afghanistan. Then we have things like this, $1.5 million for advancing DEI in Serbia's workplaces.
I think this is what
$6 million for tourism in Egypt.
Yeah, I think those are the things that people maybe they don't understand, and maybe I may have been ignorant to that as well, is how much of this is going outside of the country.
Right.
To things that really don't really impact us at all.
Well, the entire purpose of it is outside of the country. Yeah. It's international development. Yeah. And it was created by executive order, this agency, in response to a law.
Dollars in general. I don't think people realize how much taxpayer dollars is going out of the country beyond like helping our allies in wartime.
Military aid, things like that. No, it is legitimately nation building.
Funding nations,
what people criticized some prior administrations, even the Bush administration, for nation building and foreign adventurism. This is the type of stuff that you're paying for and have been paying for a generation.
Is offensive and outrageous of what's happening in Washington. Democrats right now are defending the spending on ridiculous programs. These are highly partisan political programs, fringe programs, millions and millions of dollars to fringe political programs. And somehow the Democrats are acting like we're feeding kids in Africa with this stuff. Look, there are a few good programs at USAID that we could easily fund through the State Department or through the U.S. mission to the UN, other entities that are more appropriate. But right now, I think the Rahm Emanuel warning to the Democrats is very real, which is, here's a former chief of staff to Bill Clinton saying to the Democrats, be careful. You don't have to be outraged about everything. Sometimes the nature of what the Republicans are going after is good. Take a pass on this, because otherwise Democrats are going to be in the position of defending hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayer money being wasted.
Of course, President Trump had mentioned things like Politico. We know there's other publications that may get exposed soon for getting so much money from the government, there's no way that they could be not controlled. there's been discussions about NPR and PBS and the fact that they are getting a significant amount of their money from government funding and are not providing a equal platform. They're providing a very biased platform. We all know this when we're listening to NPR, PBS, great programming sometimes. I mean, they have some good educational documentary kind of programming. But then when you hear news coverage, it is always slanted one way.
Well, and I think also over the last generation or several decades, that NPR has gotten even more so that it was always left-leaning. I mean, I spent time there as an intern in college at the corporate headquarters at NPR. So I was in the belly of the beast, as they say. And it was much more hippie liberal then.
Yes.
It was much more peace and love liberal then. Now it is
bluegrass liberals.
Right. It is now radical, as far left agenda as you can get. So much so you have that whistleblower that left NPR because they would shut him down, who he himself was a liberal, but said they won't even pretend to cover things. They said, we want activist journalism. And that's the difference. Not that necessarily the federal funding of state-ish, quasi-state media was ever a good idea, but now it has gone so far away from the original mission that it's absurd.
I think the bigger picture here is that we have a system in the United States that is built around smaller government and personal responsibility. And what that means is we don't have a system like Europe that's a socialist system, where when there's a problem around the world, Europeans expect and demand that their government respond. And that's because they have extremely high taxes. We have a system that has lower taxes, and we need to get it even lower so that you have more money, and then you get to decide what programs, what NGOs, what humanitarian projects you fund. In America, we write checks personally to organizations that we believe in because we have lower taxes than the Europeans. And so we need that system. We need to gut the spending of the United States on waste, fraud, and abuse, be able to get tax breaks, lower the tax burden on working Americans so that then Americans can say, I want to fund this organization because I believe in it, it's got good management, and I'm involved. And that's the system that I think is the best for the United States.
There's no oversight. There's no vetting. It is taking your money and sending it out the door to every absurd thought you could have. And I even mentioned with Rick, some of these groups people have now been looking at. They don't have functional websites, but they're getting millions of your dollars. And then you think about, okay, well, they're helping empower. There was one that was empowering artisanal, small-scale gold mining in the Amazon.
I mean, that sounds pretty cool.
Right. Why are we paying for that? I mean, like,
I don't know why, but I do want to do it.
But if you take that and you say, okay, they're helping grow small business in the Amazon. Okay, let's try to make it sound nice.
If you have an artisanal gold mining company in the Amazon and you're looking for an investor, hit me up.
Well, I think they already found the U.S. government that could do a lot more.
It's going to be gone, so they need some help here because I don't know why. That just feels like something I want to put on my LinkedIn.
Yeah.
What do? I run an artisanal gold mine.
Well, but get this, and you think about how much money they're spending on these programs and contrast that with how hard it is to get aid within our own country in Western North Carolina or L.A.
down the street
when there is a disaster for those small business owners who have lost everything. I don't think the $700 FEMA check or the $500 one in North Carolina are really going to help you get through all of this. And yet they're sending millions and millions of dollars out the door